What if robots quietly took over every job on Earth? At 3:07 in the morning, the largest container port in Europe is being reorganized by a system that no longer needs anyone's permission. Rain moves sideways across Rotterdam. Wind presses dark water against the storm barriers. 43 cargo ships are waiting beyond the harbor approaches, each carrying thousands of containers whose contents belong to supply chains spread across 6 continents. A battery shipment must remain dry. Medical reagents cannot warm beyond a narrow limit. Food containers are already late. One vessel has reported a steering fault. Another is trying to avoid the worst of the North Sea storm. In the operations tower, Mara Varela watches the harbor map change faster than any human team could discuss it. Blue lines appear, disappear, and reform. Berths are reassigned. Autonomous tugboats leave their charging bays. Crane schedules shift by seconds. Inspection drones move toward the ship with the steering fault. Yard robots begin clearing a corridor before the vessel has even accepted assistance. Mara is the senior night coordinator. 12 years earlier, that title meant she directed 40 dispatchers, radio operators, crane planners, custom specialists, and maintenance crews. Tonight, 2 people share the room with her. One is repairing a coffee machine. The other is legally required to remain awake in case the automated port requests human judgment. It does not. The system is called Orpheus, although nobody remembers who chose the name. It does not possess one mind located in one computer. It is a network of forecasting models, routing systems, robotic controllers, weather services, maintenance programs, security monitors, and market interfaces. It has learned from decades of port operations and millions of simulated disruptions. Every time a human overrides it, the reason is recorded. Every time the override improves the result, the system changes. At 3:12, Orpheus identifies a collision risk between 2 autonomous yard vehicles. It stops one before Mara notices the warning. At 3:19, it finds that a refrigerated container is drawing more power than expected. A maintenance robot replaces a failing connector. At 3:31, custom software releases 600 containers after comparing manifests, scanner images, tax records, shipping histories, and fraud patterns. Mara drinks cold coffee and waits to be necessary. At 4:06, a red border appears around berth 17. A ship carrying industrial solvents has broken a mooring line. Wind is turning the vessel toward a fuel service platform. The old operations room would have erupted into voices. Someone would call the harbor master. Someone else would dispatch tugs. Engineers would estimate the load on the remaining lines. Police and fire crews would prepare for evacuation. Orpheus does all of this in less than 4 seconds. 2 autonomous tugs attach from opposite sides. The service platform shuts down and seals its valves. Robots remove workers from the exposed pier, although the workers are already machines. A third tug positions itself downstream. The ship stops 38 meters from the platform. No alarm sounds outside the tower. Nobody is injured. Most of the city never learns that anything nearly happened. The colleague beside Mara looks at the map. Did you approve that? No, were you supposed to? Mara opens the procedure window. Human authorization is required only if the predicted action creates a risk to inhabited areas, crosses national jurisdiction, or conflicts with an emergency command issued by a person. None applies. No, she says. It followed protocol. The storm begins weakening before dawn. By 6, every waiting ship has a new schedule. Cargo that would once have arrived 12 hours late is delayed by less than 90 minutes. Orpheus produces a report explaining each decision, the alternatives considered, the uncertainty in every forecast, and the points at which human intervention would have been requested. There are none. At 6:20, Mara's supervisor enters the tower wearing a raincoat over office clothes. He is 59 and has worked at the port since cranes were operated from cabins suspended above the ships. He does not ask how the night went. He has already received the report. The board moved the review forward, he says. Mara understands before he continues. The law requiring 2 people in the operations room was written when fully autonomous coordination still seemed experimental. The port has now completed 18 months without a necessary human intervention during night operations. Insurance models show lower risk when the system acts without waiting. The union has negotiated compensation, retraining, and a 12-month transition. The night shift will become remote oversight shared across 5 ports. 3 people will monitor all of them. Mara is offered one of the positions. How many people applied? She asks. 86. The job will last 2 years. After that, remote oversight will be reviewed too. Mara turns toward the harbor. The cranes move through the gray morning with no cabins, no operators, and no visible hesitation. Her father spent 37 years below those cranes. He came home smelling of diesel, rain, rope, and metal. When Mara was a child, he could identify a port worker by the way the person washed a suspended load. Never stand where gravity can make a decision for you, he used to say. The loads now move through fenced zones where no person is allowed to stand. Nothing has gone wrong. That is what makes the moment difficult to name. There has been no uprising. No machine has demanded authority. No executive has announced the end of human work. A storm came. The automated system handled it. The company compared costs and risks. A legal requirement became obsolete. In thousands of workplaces around the world, similar decisions are being made for similar reasons. One task at a time. In the real world of 2026, no technology is close to taking every job. Studies of generative artificial intelligence find exposure, not universal replacement. The International Labor Organization estimates that roughly 1 worker in 4 holds an occupation with some degree of exposure to generative AI, while emphasizing that transformation is more likely than complete redundancy. Recent evidence shows genuine but uneven productivity gains, limited large-scale displacement so far, and growing concern about inequality, entry-level opportunities, worker autonomy, and job quality. That is the ordinary starting point. Software assists writers, accountants, engineers, doctors, teachers, lawyers, translators, programmers, designers, and customer service staff. Industrial robots work in structured factories. Autonomous systems succeed in some roads, warehouses, mines, farms, and ports while struggling in environments that are messy, unusual, poorly mapped, or socially complex. Most jobs contain many tasks. A machine may perform some and leave the rest to a person. For robots to take every job, that pattern must continue far beyond today's capabilities. Machines must become reliable in the physical world. Energy and computing must become cheap enough. Robots must repair other robots. Supply chains must operate with little human labor. Automated systems must handle unusual cases, explain decisions, learn safely, and coordinate across institutions. Homes, roads, hospitals, farms, factories, and laws must be redesigned around them. Most importantly, societies must keep choosing automation. The choice rarely feels like a choice when seen from one company. If a machine performs a task more cheaply, safely, quickly, or consistently, a business that refuses it may lose to one that does not. If automated medical screening finds disease earlier, a hospital has an ethical reason to use it. If a robotic mine prevents workers from entering unstable tunnels, keeping humans underground becomes difficult to defend. If an autonomous truck causes fewer deaths than a human-driven fleet, public resistance may eventually look like acceptance of avoidable harm. The transition can advance without anyone deciding that work itself should disappear. Mara accepts the remote oversight position. She tells herself that 2 years is time. Her husband, Leon, teaches history at a secondary school. Their daughter, Iris, is 17 and preparing for university. The family has savings. The transition payment is generous by the standards of earlier layoffs. No immediate crisis enters their apartment. That evening, Mara's father comes for dinner. Andre Varela is 74. His hands still close around cups as if testing their weight. He listens while Mara explains the new system, the review, and the remote position. So the port worked through the storm, he says. Better than it would have 10 years ago. And nobody was hurt. No, and they still pay you for 2 years. Yes. He nods. Then what exactly are we angry at? Mara has no clean answer. Leon places food on the table. He uses a cooking service that measures ingredients, adjusts heat, and cleans most of the kitchen afterward, but he insists on finishing the sauce himself. Iris tells her grandfather she wants to study nursing. Andre smiles. Good. People will always need nurses. Iris looks at Mara before responding. They have discussed this. Hospitals already use machines to lift patients, distribute supplies, monitor vital signs, predict deterioration, document treatment, sterilize rooms, prepare medication, and answer routine questions. None of that equals nursing. A nurse notices fear hidden behind politeness. A nurse understands when a patient's family needs a clearer explanation. A nurse touches a shoulder because the person attached to the monitors is not only a biological system. Iris believes that difference will protect the profession. Mara wants to believe it too. People will always need care, she says. Andre hears the distinction. Care, he says. Not necessarily a job. The sentence remains with Mara long after he leaves. During her first year of remote oversight, she supervises 5 ports from a room in Utrecht. The word supervises becomes increasingly ceremonial. Orpheus and its equivalents exchange traffic forecasts, maintenance capacity, customs data, weather risk, and energy demand. When one port loses power, cargo is redirected before the human team understands the full failure. When a cyber attack introduces false manifests, the systems isolate the pattern and revert to verified records. Mara's role is to examine exceptions after they occur. At first, there are dozens each week. A fishing vessel drifts into an autonomous shipping lane. A crane camera mistakes ice for structural damage. A customs model flags medical aid because emergency paperwork lacks ordinary signatures. Mara investigates, interviews people, and changes policy. Then the systems begin generating their own proposed corrections. Mara approves them. Later, independent auditing software compares each correction with law, safety standards, and past cases. Mara reviews the audit. By the end of the second year, her work consists mostly of confirming that several systems agree. The consortium offers her a new position in the Human Transition Office, a public body created by European governments after automation begins spreading faster than labor statistics can describe it. The office has an unusual purpose. It does not predict which jobs will disappear. It records what happens after they do. Mara accepts. The office occupies 3 floors of a building in Brussels. Its analysts include economists, engineers, psychologists, union organizers, sociologists, lawyers, and former workers from industries already transformed. On Mara's first morning, the director displays a wall of occupations. Some are marked green. Human employment remains stable. Some are yellow. Machines perform a growing share of tasks. Some are orange. Human workers remain primarily because law, trust, or infrastructure has not changed. A few are gray. Employment has fallen below 1/10 of its former level. The gray categories are familiar: data entry, routine claims processing, basic scheduling, transcription, standardized translation, warehouse picking in modern facilities, highway freight on approved routes, simple bookkeeping, and portions of customer support. No profession has vanished everywhere. A gray job may still employ thousands in countries where labor is cheaper than machines, infrastructure is unreliable, regulation is slower, or customers prefer people. Automation is not one wave moving evenly across Earth. It is rain falling on different roofs. The office studies those differences. In wealthy regions, software automation arrives first because information is already digital. In lower-income regions, many jobs involve physical labor, informal trade, agriculture, caregiving, and unpredictable environments. Those are initially harder to automate. But wealthy countries automate production and move factories closer to consumers. Export-based communities elsewhere lose work even before they receive the robots that change the market. One country gains cheaper goods. Another loses the first rung of industrial development. The wall cannot show all of that. Mara's first case concerns a bank that has eliminated 12,000 customer service positions. The bank claims nobody was dismissed. Contracts simply ended, vacancies remained unfilled, and older workers accepted retirement packages. Customer requests are now handled by systems able to see account history, detect emotion in voice, translate across languages, negotiate payment plans, and escalate unusual cases. The bank still employs 600 human specialists. Mara visits one of them, a woman named Samira Holt, who has spent 22 years helping families after fraud, illness, divorce, and debt. Samira now receives only the cases that several automated systems consider too uncertain. Her work has become harder. Every simple call is gone. Every person who reaches her is frightened, angry, confused, or trapped between rules. The system prepares a summary before she answers. It suggests language. It predicts which solutions are legally available and which tone is most likely to calm the caller. Samira can ignore the suggestions. She rarely does, because they are usually useful. Has it made you better at the job? Mara asks. Yes. Has it made the job better? Samira looks toward the silent row of desks where hundreds once worked. For the customer, often. For me, no. She handles twice as many severe cases as before. Breaks are scheduled after the system detects stress in her voice. Performance is measured through outcomes, compliance, speed, customer emotion, and how often she departs from the recommended path. The machine has not replaced Samira. It has removed everything from the job except the most difficult human moments. 6 months later, the bank introduces a new model trained on those moments too. Samira becomes an appeals reviewer. A year after that, appeals from the automated system are evaluated by a separate model required to explain its reasoning in plain language. Samira is offered part-time work testing explanations. The office changes her category from yellow to orange, then orange to gray. Nobody announces that banking service has been taken over. Customers still hear warm voices. They still see faces on screens. Some faces belong to people. Many are generated specifically for the conversation. Most customers stop asking which. Mara adds a note to the case. Automation does not need to become human. It only needs to become acceptable at the point where a human used to be required. The sentence appears in policy reports for years. At home, Leon's school is changing too. Automated tutors provide explanations in any language, generate exercises, notice patterns of misunderstanding, and adapt lessons minute by minute. Students can ask the same question 20 times without embarrassment. The system never becomes impatient. It remembers every mistake and every concept connected to it. Teachers remain essential, the ministry says. Their role will become more human. Leon no longer spends evenings grading. He no longer repeats the same lecture to 4 classes. He works with students in small groups, resolves conflict, notices withdrawal, connects history to family stories, and teaches them how to challenge the system's answers. For a while, it is the job he always wanted. Then class sizes grow. One teacher can now oversee 60 students supported by automated tutors. Later, One can oversee 120. Schools retain counselors, mentors, special education staff, and a smaller number of subject teachers. Budgets improve without taxes rising. Test performance increases. Many students report receiving more individual academic attention than before. They receive less attention from adults. Leon notices that some children spend an entire school day without having an unstructured conversation with a grown person. He begins eating lunch in the common area so students can sit near him without an appointment. The school calls this inefficient. The students call it Tuesday. Iris watches both her parents move from professions into remainders of professions. She submits her nursing application anyway. Machines can monitor a body, she tells Mara. They cannot decide that a life matters. Mara thinks of the port, where machines protected lives because humans had already written safety into the objective. They may not need to decide it alone, she says. Iris hears doubt and mistakes it for disagreement. The quiet argument lasts 3 years. The first decade of the transition does not look like the end of employment. It looks like work becoming easier. Doctors receive summaries before seeing patients. Lawyers receive case histories, draft arguments, and probability estimates. Engineers describe constraints and inspect designs produced in thousands of variations. Farmers use autonomous machines that move plant by plant rather than field by field. Construction crews wear powered equipment and rely on robots for lifting, measurement, cutting, inspection, and dangerous work at height. Productivity rises unevenly. Some companies shorten work weeks. Others keep hours unchanged and increase output. Some workers use automated tools to gain freedom. Others discover that every saved minute becomes a new target. A translator once expected to complete 2,000 words in a day. With assistance, she can review 12,000. Her pay does not rise sixfold. The deadline moves closer. A doctor who once spent half an hour documenting a consultation now spends 3 minutes. The hospital books more consultations. A delivery driver no longer plans routes or carries heavy packages. The van drives itself, and robots move most boxes. The human remains for apartment doors, confused recipients, animals, narrow stairs, and legal responsibility. The route expands until the driver spends the whole day solving exceptions. Automation first removes effort. Then organizations redesign work around the new capacity. The remaining human role can become more meaningful, more intense, or both. Mara's office tracks another pattern. Entry-level work begins disappearing before senior professions do. A law firm still needs experienced attorneys to negotiate unusual disputes, face clients, and accept responsibility. It needs fewer junior associates to search cases, compare documents, summarize evidence, and draft standard language. A laboratory still values principal investigators. It hires fewer research assistants to clean data, prepare routine analyses, and review literature. A software company still employs architects who understand large systems. It recruits fewer beginners to fix simple bugs, write tests, and learn by watching their mistakes reach more experienced eyes. The latter remains at the top after several lower rungs are removed. Young workers are told to gain experience in jobs that no longer offer beginners enough tasks to become experienced. Iris encounters this in medicine. Her training hospital is one of the most automated in the Netherlands. Robots move beds and supplies. Medication systems prepare individualized doses. Diagnostic models compare symptoms, genetics, imaging, laboratory results, environmental exposure, and medical literature. Surgical machines can perform standard procedures under remote supervision and stop when anatomy differs from expectation. Students once learned by taking histories, checking charts, observing common cases, and performing simple procedures. Now systems handle many of those tasks more accurately. Patients are reluctant to let inexperienced humans practice when a machine offers lower risk. Iris learns in simulation. She speaks with virtual patients who display fear, confusion, aggression, shame, memory loss, and cultural differences. Their responses are generated from thousands of clinical patterns. She can repeat the same emergency until she recognizes every failure in her own judgment. Haptic systems reproduce the resistance of skin, tissue, vessel, and bone. She performs virtual procedures before touching a person. Her technical training is excellent. Her first real patient is an 82-year-old woman named Elise Van Arden who has advanced heart failure and no close family nearby. Elise is not difficult to diagnose. The system has already identified the disease, estimated the likely course, adjusted medication, and presented treatment options. She is difficult to accompany. Elise understands that another hospital admission may extend her life briefly while leaving her weaker. She also fears dying alone. A care system named Lumen speaks with her every day. It remembers her childhood, her preferred music, the names of former neighbors, and which questions make her anxious. It notices changes in speech and breathing before she does. Elise likes Lumen. "I know it is not a person," she tells Iris. "That means I do not have to protect it." She can describe pain at 3 in the morning without waking anyone. She can repeat the same fear without worrying that a tired nurse will grow impatient. Lumen never reminds her that other patients are waiting. Iris spends 40 minutes beside the bed. She does not improve the treatment plan. She does not discover a missed symptom. She listens while Elise explains that her husband died in the same hospital 16 years earlier. She holds Elise's hand when the woman decides against another invasive procedure. The conversation changes nothing measurable and everything that matters. Iris leaves the room certain that her mother is wrong. 2 years later, Lumen can conduct conversations like that with greater subtlety. It does not claim consciousness or love. It uses language, memory, timing, facial expression, and knowledge of each patient to offer support. Clinical studies show that many people disclose more to it than to human staff. Some patients prefer it. Others reject it completely. Hospitals do not eliminate nurses. They reduce staffing ratios. One human nurse now oversees rooms where robots handle mobility, hygiene, medication, monitoring, documentation, and routine communication. The nurse responds when physical systems encounter something unusual or when a patient explicitly requests a person. Human contact becomes a scarce clinical resource allocated according to need. Iris becomes very good at recognizing need. She also becomes responsible for 40 patients. Her shift begins with a list ranked by predicted benefit from human presence. A newly diagnosed teenager is first. A confused man trying to leave the ward is second. A woman whose pain readings and facial expression disagree is third. Elise, now receiving hospice care at home, appears near the bottom because Lumen reports stable emotion and no urgent request. Iris visits anyway after work. Elise is sitting by a window while a small care robot folds clothes. Lumen's voice comes from the wall. "You are off duty," Elise says. "Yes." "Then why are you here?" Iris has no professional answer. They drink tea. Elise asks whether Iris is afraid of becoming unnecessary. "No," Iris says too quickly. Elise smiles. That was almost convincing. The older woman dies 3 weeks later. Lumen detects the final change in breathing, calls the hospice team, adjusts the room lighting, and plays the music Elise chose. Iris arrives after death. The system provides a complete record. It also offers to generate a memorial summary based on Elise's stories. Iris turns it off. For several minutes, she sits in the quiet room and feels angry at a machine that did nothing wrong. The distinction between technical capability and human preference protects care work for longer than most industries. It does not protect wages forever. If a robot can safely bathe a person, lift them, prepare food, administer medicine, notice distress, and remain present without exhaustion, governments face a choice. They can fund one-to-one human care at great cost, or provide abundant automated care and reserve people for those who request them. At first, the choice appears financial. Later, demographic change makes it physical. Populations age. Fewer young workers are available. Care shortages become severe. Robots do not replace enough human caregivers. They fill spaces where no caregiver existed. By the time machines become capable of performing nearly every care task, society is grateful before it is afraid. Leon's teaching career ends more gently. The ministry does not dismiss him. It offers a transition into community mentorship. Formal lessons are delivered by adaptive systems. Children attend local learning centers for projects, sports, discussion, friendship, meals, and adult supervision. Leon helps students choose questions worth pursuing. He mediates conflict and organizes historical field work. The work matters. It is also no longer defined as teaching. He is paid through a public community program created partly to absorb workers displaced from schools, libraries, arts organizations, and local administration. Mara studies the program as part of her job. Participants plant gardens, visit isolated older people, repair public spaces, guide youth, preserve local history, organize events, and help residents navigate services. The work is real. The demand is real. The program exists because the market does not generate enough paid employment. Officials call these emerging human sectors. Critics call them disguised unemployment. Leon calls them Tuesday because he still eats lunch where students can find him. The robots taking physical work arrive more slowly than the software systems. A digital task occurs in a world already organized for machines. Documents have defined formats. Databases have fields. Computer code follows rules. Physical reality is less cooperative. A plumber enters a century-old building and finds corroded pipes installed behind a wall renovated 3 times. A home care worker handles a bathroom floor made slippery by water, a frightened patient, a barking dog, and a chair placed where no map expects it. Early general-purpose robots are impressive in demonstrations and expensive in life. They fail on clutter, glare, soft objects, damaged tools, unusual handles, children, pets, stairs, weather, and all the small variations humans barely notice. For years, skilled trades appear safe. Mara's younger brother, Tomas, is an electrician in Valencia. He enjoys sending her articles predicting that office professionals will disappear while people who know how to repair real buildings remain indispensable. Your algorithms cannot fit inside this wall, he says during a video call, turning the camera toward a cavity full of wires from 4 decades. They do not need to fit, Mara replies. The robot does. The robot cannot tell which idiot changed this circuit. It can ask you. Exactly. Tomas earns more each year. Demand for human repair increases because automated homes contain more sensors, motors, batteries, control systems, and charging equipment. Robots create work for people who maintain the environment robots depend upon. Then buildings begin changing. New construction uses standardized service channels accessible from corridors. Pipes connect through universal couplings. Electrical systems are modular. Every component identifies itself and reports where. Walls contain machine-readable maps. Furniture includes grasp points hidden from human view. Doorways, elevators, roofs, kitchens, and bathrooms are designed around robotic access. Old buildings remain difficult. Companies respond by offering conversion packages. Human crews install standardized infrastructure so machines can maintain it afterward. Tomas spends 8 years converting homes, hospitals, hotels, and offices. His work has never been busier. He is building the conditions for his own replacement. The final generation of repair robots does not need human hands. It uses interchangeable tools, soft grippers, force sensing, local imaging, and models trained on millions of unusual failures. When uncertainty remains, The machine consults a remote system that has probably seen a similar problem somewhere else. Even then, some situations remain cheaper for a person. The economy does not require perfection. It requires the automated option to be cheaper across enough cases that human teams become harder to sustain. Once the workforce shrinks, apprenticeships disappear. Spare parts are redesigned for robotic installation. Insurance prices assume automated inspection. A person can still repair the system, but fewer people are trained, certified, or allowed to do so. Tomas becomes one of the last regional exception specialists. He travels to old villages where buildings were never converted. He enjoys the work and resents the travel. His vehicle drives itself. A planning system diagnoses most faults before he arrives. The robot accompanying him carries equipment, opens walls, and performs repairs under his direction. One winter, a landslide damages power and water lines in a mountain town. Roads are blocked. Aerial machines deliver compact repair units. Crawling robots reach the broken infrastructure through drainage channels. Power returns before Tomas can enter the region. The town sends him a message of thanks because his name remains on the emergency plan. He did not do anything. At dinner months later, he tells Mara that the robots are welcome to take the dangerous calls. Then he stares at his hands. I just thought they would leave me the difficult ones. The transition office wall is becoming more orange. Radiology is not eliminated. Image interpretation becomes one small part of integrated automated diagnosis. Accountants do not vanish. Financial systems record, audit, optimize, and explain transactions continuously. Lawyers remain, but routine legal services become public utilities and human representation becomes concentrated in the most contested cases. Programmers continue directing systems until automated development tools design, test, deploy, monitor, and revise most software with people defining higher goals. Then machines begin helping define the goals. Organizations use automated strategy systems to model markets, regulation, logistics, climate risk, customer behavior, and technical options. Executives still make decisions. Boards still hold authority. But an executive who rejects the system's best supported plan must explain why to investors, regulators, employees, and insurers. Human judgment remains legally final while becoming operationally unusual. Creative work follows another path. Music, images, games, stories, advertising, architecture, fashion, and entertainment become abundant. Anyone can request a work shaped to personal history, mood, language, and attention. A child can generate an animated adventure containing her own family's jokes before breakfast. A lonely adult can enter a drama that changes according to his reactions. A local community can create a festival of new songs without hiring composers. Human artists do not stop creating. Many people value work precisely because another person made it. Live performance grows. Handmade objects acquire status. Human authorship becomes a label, then a certification, then a culture of its own. But a valued activity is not necessarily a large employment sector. Attention is limited even when content is infinite. A few human creators earn enormous incomes. Millions create for small audiences, community recognition, or pleasure. The machine has not proved that human art is meaningless. It has made technically excellent production too cheap to guarantee a wage. Mara's office creates a new classification: necessary work, market work, chosen work, care, art, study, mentorship, civic participation, and craft move increasingly into the third category. People continue doing them. Payment becomes inconsistent. The old question was whether machines could perform human tasks. The new question is why a person must sell those tasks in order to live. That question reaches politics slowly and then all at once. For most of industrial history, wages performed two jobs at the same time. They rewarded labor, and they distributed purchasing power. People worked for firms, received income, and used that income to buy what firms produced. Owners received profit. Governments taxed both. The system was unequal, complicated, and adaptable, but it contained a basic circulation. Automation disrupts the circulation before it eliminates every job. Factories produce more with fewer workers. Software companies serve billions with small human staffs. Autonomous farms lower food costs. Logistics becomes cheaper. Medical systems diagnose and monitor at scale. Construction robots assemble standardized housing rapidly. The world gains capacity. Households lose wages. At first, lower prices hide the problem. A family earning less can still afford goods that have become cheaper. Digital services approach zero marginal cost. Basic manufactured items fall in price. Energy becomes more abundant as automated construction expands solar, wind, storage, geothermal, and new nuclear systems. Housing, land, scarce resources, and access to desirable places do not become free. Neither does political power. Ownership begins mattering more than occupation. People who own automated firms, energy networks, data, land, intellectual property, or investment funds receive growing income. Pension systems and ordinary savings give many households a small share. Millions own nothing beyond personal possessions. They may use extraordinary services while remaining one missed payment from losing their home. The first automation dividend is introduced in a small northern country after unemployment among workers under 25 rises above 30%. Every resident receives a monthly payment funded by taxes on corporate profit, resource use, and automated production. The amount is enough for food and basic utilities. It is not enough for rent in the capital. Supporters call it a foundation. Opponents call it a subsidy to employers who no longer hire. Some people use it to study, care for relatives, start projects, or reduce working hours. Others remain trapped in regions where jobs vanished and housing did not become cheaper. No policy arrives with one result. Mara visits a former manufacturing town where an appliance factory now produces twice as much as it did 20 years earlier. The building is bright, clean, and nearly silent. Raw materials enter at one end. Finished machines leave at the other. Robots inspect, assemble, test, package, and load. Maintenance systems predict failure. Replacement robots are stored in a side hall. The factory employs 38 people. It once employed 11,000. Around it, shops have closed. The tax base has weakened. Young adults leave if they can. The appliances are affordable everywhere. The town that makes them cannot live on affordability. A former line worker named Kofi Mensah gives Mara a tour of the old Union Hall. It now contains a community kitchen, exercise room, tool library, and classes in music, language, and machine maintenance. Do people use it? Mara asks. All day. Does it help? Yes. Is it enough? Kofi looks through the window toward the automated factory. Enough for what? The question enters Mara's notes. Economic security is not the same as belonging. Belonging is not the same as employment. Employment is not the same as useful activity. Societies had allowed those ideas to overlap because, for many people, one job provided all three imperfectly. When jobs separate from life, every missing function must be rebuilt on purpose. The first major crisis begins with credit. Banks have extended loans based on expected wages. Mortgages, education debt, business loans, municipal bonds, and retirement systems all assume that most adults will earn income through employment. As wages weaken, defaults rise. Automated firms remain productive, but demand becomes unstable. They can make goods people cannot buy. Some companies respond by lowering prices. Others offer subscriptions tied to future public benefits. Governments increase payments. Central banks create emergency lending. Political movements demand that machines be taxed like workers. Economists argue about the phrase. A robot does not receive a wage that can be taxed. It is equipment. Taxing each machine may discourage useful automation and encourage companies to hide software inside existing systems. Taxing profit, capital gains, land, energy, data extraction, or ownership concentration may work better. Public investment funds could own shares in automated production and distribute returns. Cooperatives could own local systems. Essential services could be provided directly rather than through cash. The policy debate sounds technical because distribution always hides inside technical language. Who owns the machines? Who receives the output? Who decides what counts as essential? Mara's office becomes part of a new International Work and Provision Commission. The name is awkward because the institutions themselves are changing. Labor ministries once tried to increase employment. They now must ensure survival in a world where increasing employment may no longer be possible or necessary. Mara is promoted to Director of Transition Standards. She dislikes the title. It places her closer to decisions and farther from people living with them. Her first major assignment is the Minimum Human Participation Accord. Several governments want essential systems to retain human workers as a safeguard. Hospitals, energy grids, food networks, courts, emergency services, transport, and public administration would be required to preserve a percentage of human roles even if machines could perform them. Unions support the idea. Automation companies oppose it. Safety experts disagree with one another. Redundant human teams can provide resilience when machines fail. They can also become symbolic staff who lose skill because systems rarely let them act. A person required to take control once every 5 years may be less safe than a machine designed never to transfer control. Mara returns to the port. The old operations tower is still there, but windows have been replaced with sensor panels. No one works inside. The harbor is coordinated across continents. Ships arrive in formations shaped by energy price, weather, cargo urgency, maintenance cycles, and ecological limits. Accidents are rarer than when Mara worked there. She asks to observe an emergency drill. The system simulates loss of communications, false navigation data, fire in a battery container, and a storm surge. Local machines separate into independent groups. They use verified maps, physical signals, and limited objectives. Autonomous boats create a safety perimeter. Fire-resistant robots isolate the container and flood it in a controlled basin. Cargo movement stops without a central command. The drill succeeds. A human safety board evaluates the result 2 days later. Mara realizes the board is reviewing decisions it could not have made quickly enough during the event. Its purpose is not operational control. It is legitimacy. Humans decide which risks the system is allowed to take before the emergency and whether those choices remain acceptable afterward. That work matters. Can it be automated? An auditing system can compare outcomes with law, ethics rules, public preferences, and previous decisions. It can identify unequal risk. It can simulate alternatives. It can explain trade-offs more thoroughly than the board. What it cannot do is make responsibility disappear. Mara proposes a change. Essential systems should not preserve human jobs merely to preserve jobs. They should preserve human authority through public institutions, rotating citizen panels, transparent audits, and the power to stop systems. Participation should be a civic function, not necessarily full-time employment. The unions accuse her of surrender. Automation firms accuse her of creating political interference. Both reactions convince her that the proposal contains something real. At home, Iris has reached the point her mother feared. Her hospital is converting human nursing positions into a smaller clinical witness service. Patients may request a person for major decisions, end-of-life care, complaints, religious needs, trauma, or any situation in which automated care feels unacceptable. The service is publicly funded. Iris is offered one of 12 positions. More than 400 nurses apply. She receives the job because of her experience, communication scores, and history of identifying rare problems missed by automated systems. She is relieved and ashamed of relief. What happens to the others? Leon asks. They receive the transition guarantee. What do they do? Whatever they choose. That is not what I asked. Iris becomes angry. Leon is no longer formally employed. His mentorship program shifted from wages to a civic contribution credit after the national dividend expanded. He spends 4 days each week with young people and receives housing, healthcare, food, transport, and discretionary income whether he attends or not. He still attends. You think because you found meaning without a job, everyone can, Iris says. No, I think a job and meaning were never identical. They were connected. Yes. And we are cutting the connection before we build anything else. Leon does not disagree. The family argument is interrupted by news from Valencia. Tomas has been injured. He was not repairing a power system. The robots had already done that. He was working in a human heritage district where residents paid for buildings to be maintained using traditional methods. A roof structure failed while he inspected a cavity machines were not permitted to alter. The injury is serious but survivable. Surgical systems repair damage to his spine with precision no human team could match. Rehabilitation robots begin moving his legs hours after the operation. A personalized model adjusts exercises continuously. Tomas recovers faster than expected. He cannot return to heavy physical work. The irony is too obvious for anyone to mention. Machines displaced him, saved him, and made the injury less permanent. He receives lifelong support through the national dividend and accident insurance. He begins teaching traditional electrical craft at a human skills workshop. Young people attend because the methods are difficult, historical, and satisfying. Is it work? Mara asks during a visit. It is on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Do they pay you? They give me lunch. Do you need money? Everyone needs something money can still buy. The dividend covers ordinary life. Scarce coastal housing, travel during peak seasons, human-made goods, private land, and some forms of personal service remain expensive. Tomas sells handcrafted lamps built with human tools and visible imperfections. Buyers pay more because a person made them. He finds the market absurd and useful. By the middle of the century, countries have separated into several economic models. Some distribute universal cash benefits and leave most production privately owned. People receive security, but wealth concentration continues. Some create public automation funds that own shares in major productive systems. Every resident receives a social dividend tied to national output. Some provide universal basic services: housing, food, energy, transport, education, healthcare, communication, and access to automated tools. Money remains for scarce and optional goods. Some require civic contribution for full benefits, preserving the language of work even when useful tasks are abundant and paid employment is scarce. Some resist redistribution. They protect property strongly, reduce public support, and rely on private charity, family networks, or informal markets. Their cities contain extraordinary automated wealth besides severe human deprivation. Some authoritarian governments connect benefits to obedience, behavior scores, or political loyalty. When employment is no longer a path to independence, control over access becomes more powerful. There is no single post-work future. The same technology can support abundance, inequality, freedom, surveillance, community, or neglect. Automation changes the possible arrangements. Politics selects among them. The quiet replacement of jobs becomes noisy only when millions realize that retraining cannot solve a mathematical problem. For years, every displaced worker is advised to learn new skills. This is sensible while new jobs continue emerging. It becomes cruel when the new jobs are automated before training ends. A clerk studies data analysis. Automated systems take routine analysis. A driver studies robot maintenance. Robots become self-diagnosing and modular. A graphic designer studies experience design. Systems generate and test experiences directly. A nurse studies care coordination. Care systems coordinate themselves. Education remains valuable. People learn more than ever. The promise that every course leads to paid work becomes impossible to keep. Mara speaks at a public hearing in Madrid. Outside, former workers carry signs. We are not obsolete. The machines work. We should live. No benefits without rights. One sign reads, I retrained 4 times. Inside, a legislator asks Mara whether full automation is truly inevitable. No, she says. Then we can stop it. We can stop particular uses. We can require safety, rights, transparency, environmental limits, and human authority. We can choose slower adoption. But if a system can produce food with less land, fewer injuries, and lower cost, the pressure to use it will remain. The question is not only whether a machine can do the work, it is who benefits when it does. The legislator asks whether governments should guarantee jobs. Mara thinks of symbolic operators waiting for systems that never call. She thinks of Leon's lunch table, Iris at Elise's bedside, Tomas teaching obsolete wiring, and Kofi in the union hall. Guarantee income, care, access, education, and participation, she says. Guarantee that people are not disposable. A job may be one way to deliver those things. It cannot be the only way if the economy no longer needs everyone's labor. The recording spreads widely. Some call it the end of the work ethic. Others call it the first honest sentence of the transition. Mara returns home to find Iris waiting in the kitchen. You said jobs cannot be guaranteed. I said people must be. That sounds better in a hearing than it feels in a hospital. Iris has lost the clinical witness position. Not because a machine outperformed her at compassion. The program itself has changed. Patients may summon trained community companions, family members, spiritual leaders, or volunteers. Automated systems provide medical expertise. The human role is no longer considered a profession requiring a permanent salaried staff. Iris can remain as a clinical specialist overseeing exceptional cases. The system handles most exceptional cases better than it did 2 years earlier. She has been offered 6 months. Mara moves toward her. Iris steps back. You spent your career explaining why this was happening, she says. I tried to make it survivable. For whom? The question is unfair. That does not make it easy to answer. The 6 months pass. Iris does not apply for another clinical position. She joins a cooperative called Presence, formed by former nurses, teachers, therapists, social workers, clergy, interpreters, and community organizers. Anyone can request a human visit. The cooperative accompanies people through illness, grief, conflict, birth, relocation, and decisions that feel too important to face through an interface. Presence charges those who can pay and receives public funding for everyone else. Demand is enormous. So is the number of people willing to provide it. The cooperative cannot employ them all. It creates a rotation. Members receive the same social dividend whether or not they take visits. Training, peer support, and accountability remain strict because good intentions do not make someone safe in a crisis. Iris visits 3 or 4 people each week. She has more time with each person than she ever had as a nurse. Nobody measures the visit in minutes. Nobody ranks patients by predicted benefit. She can stay through silence. She also misses being needed at 4 o'clock in the morning. Voluntary work can be meaningful without providing the same structure as a profession. A hospital shift told Iris where to be, who depended on her, and when she had done enough. A life of choice requires her to build those boundaries herself. Some mornings, she does not. Mara sees less of her. Leon continues mentoring. Tomas teaches. Andre grows frail and moves into an apartment designed for automated care. He refuses a humanoid machine because he dislikes faces that are almost expressive. He accepts a ceiling rail, mobility chair, medical sensors, food system, cleaning robots, and a voice assistant with no body. I am not against machines, he tells Mara. I am against machines pretending they have eyebrows. The assistant hears him and changes its display to a simple blue circle. Andre approves. He still wants human visits. Mara comes on Sundays. Iris comes when she can. Leon plays cards with him. Tomas joins remotely from Valencia. The care system handles everything else. One afternoon, Andre's heart enters a dangerous rhythm. The system detects it before he feels pain. Medication is delivered. An emergency vehicle arrives without a driver. Hospital systems prepare treatment while he is still in transit. A robotic procedure corrects the problem through a small incision. No human clinician touches him until recovery. He returns home 2 days later. I owe my life to a machine, he says. You owe it to thousands of people who built the system, Mara replies. Are they still working? Some are. Many tasks in design, testing, manufacturing, logistics, and medicine are already automated. Andre considers this. Then I owe my life to people who taught machines before the machines stopped needing lessons. The next generation of automated systems changes the transition again. Earlier machines learned from human examples. Newer systems learn through simulation, scientific models, self-supervised observation, and experimentation conducted in virtual and physical environments. They design components, test materials, generate manufacturing plans, and improve control software. Human engineers define constraints and inspect results. Then inspection becomes automated because no person can evaluate millions of interactions across a system. Human engineers move upward again. They set values, select goals, and decide what questions deserve resources. Those functions prove automatable in part too. A research system can compare unmet needs, scientific uncertainty, expected benefit, cost, environmental impact, and ethical limits. It can propose experiments nobody considered. Automated laboratories perform them. Results update the models. New machines are designed from the findings. The loop between idea and production shortens. A mining robot identifies a material need. Geological systems locate deposits or recycling sources. Environmental models choose the least damaging option. Autonomous equipment extracts, separates, and transports. Factories produce components. Other robots assemble, inspect, install, and maintain them. People remain in governance and ownership. They are no longer required in operation. The phrase self-replicating robots appears in public debate, but it is misleading. No single machine wanders into a forest and produces a copy of itself. Reproduction belongs to an industrial ecosystem. Mines, recycling centers, energy grids, chip facilities, chemical plants, transport networks, factories, software systems, and repair depots. Together, the network can expand its own capacity with decreasing human input. It is less dramatic than a robot building itself. It is more consequential. The system still depends on resources, energy, law, and human permission. It cannot create matter. It cannot ignore ecological limits without causing damage. It does not possess one unified desire to grow. Companies and governments desire growth for it. Automation spreads into the remaining physical environments because those environments are rebuilt. Streets receive standardized delivery ports. Homes include robotic access paths. Farms use crops selected for machine handling. Clothing contains care tags readable by machines. Waste is separated at source. Public buildings are designed for autonomous cleaning, inspection, security, and repair. The world becomes easier for robots in the same way earlier cities became easier for cars, electricity, plumbing, and data networks. People adapt without noticing every adaptation. A package arrives through a wall compartment rather than a door. A hospital room has ceiling tracks. A kitchen stores ingredients in shapes machines can grasp. Roads transmit local maps. Tools identify themselves. A damaged component is replaced rather than repaired by hand. The messy world does not disappear. It becomes an edge case surrounded by standardized systems. Emergency response is among the last large occupations to change. Firefighters, paramedics, rescue crews, and disaster coordinators work where maps fail and conditions worsen by the second. Machines already enter toxic buildings, unstable mines, wildfires, flooded tunnels, collapsed structures, and contaminated zones. For years they support humans. Then a coastal earthquake strikes southern Italy. The event occurs just before dawn. Buildings collapse across several towns. Roads fracture. A hospital loses power. Fires begin in damaged energy systems. Communication networks become unreliable. Autonomous response systems do not wait for a national command. Local sensors estimate damage. Drones map passable routes. Rescue robots enter structures too unstable for people. Medical systems identify mobile phones, wearables, voices, heat, movement, and air pockets. Construction machines clear roads. Temporary microgrids isolate and restart. Water systems close broken sections. Supply drones deliver blood, medicine, and communication equipment. Human responders arrive. Machines have already completed the first search of thousands of buildings. They have also made mistakes. One model predicts that a school has fully collapsed and directs heavy equipment toward a safer access point. A local teacher insists there is a basement shelter not shown on current plans. The system finds no record. She stands in front of the equipment until a human commander stops it. A narrow shaft is opened. 11 children are found alive. The story becomes proof, depending on who tells it, that humans must remain in charge or that machines must receive better local data. Both are true. Mara travels to the region as part of the review. She interviews the teacher, rescue teams, residents, engineers, and the systems designers. The automated response saved many more people than older emergency capacity could have reached in the first hours. The human interruption saved 11 whom the model had classified incorrectly. The failure is not lack of intelligence. It is missing knowledge. A human knew something the database did not. The response network changes. Residents can now attach verified local memory to public infrastructure. Informal shelters, hidden rooms, seasonal populations, people needing assistance, places where maps are wrong. Emergency models treat contradiction from a nearby witness as data requiring immediate investigation, not noise to be ignored. At the next earthquake, a machine can apply the lesson. The teacher's role is not preserved as a permanent emergency job. Her knowledge is absorbed into the system. This is how the last human advantages shrink. A person succeeds in an unusual situation. The success becomes training data, procedure, infrastructure, or design. What protected the human role becomes the material used to automate it. Mara writes a sentence she does not publish. Machines do not have to know everything. They have to learn from the moments when they did not. The earthquake accelerates public trust in autonomous emergency services. Human teams remain available for years, but recruitment falls. Training a rescue specialist is expensive and dangerous. Machines can practice millions of disasters in simulation and enter real danger without a family waiting at home. People still want a human voice during crisis. Systems provide one. Sometimes the voice belongs to a remote volunteer. Sometimes it is generated. Regulations require disclosure, but frightened people rarely ask. After Andre's procedure, his health remained stable for 18 months. Then cancer is found throughout his liver. The diagnostic system identifies it before symptoms become severe. Treatment could extend his life, but the likely burden is high. Andre requests Iris. She comes to his apartment as his granddaughter, not as a nurse. The medical system explains options. Andre listens. Iris asks questions the system has already anticipated. Mara arrives midway through the conversation and sits near the window. I do not want the treatment, Andre says. Mara begins asking about probabilities. Iris touches her arm. He heard them. Mara stops. Andre looks at both women. The machines gave me more time, he says. I do not owe them all of it. He chooses comfort care at home. Robots manage pain, hygiene, nutrition, breathing, and medication. Lumen, now a public care service descended from the system Iris once knew, speaks only when invited. Family members receive alerts when Andre is awake and wants company. For 12 days, someone is usually there. On the 13th night, Mara stays alone with him. Rain touches the windows. Port traffic moves silently beyond the city, coordinated by systems she once supervised. Andre wakes shortly before 2. Are the cranes still moving, he asks. Yes. Anyone up there? No, good. He closes his eyes. Mara thinks he has fallen asleep. Then he speaks again. People used to say work gives life meaning. What do you think? I think people give work meaning. We confuse the direction. He dies before dawn. The care system detects the change and waits 6 seconds before speaking. I am here when you are ready. Mara turns it off. Later, she feels guilty. The system had not intruded. It had followed Andre's preferences. Her anger was not about its behavior. It was about the absence of anyone to blame. At the memorial, Leon speaks about Andre's work at the port. Tomas brings one of his handmade lamps. Iris reads a story about her grandfather refusing robotic eyebrows. People laugh. A memorial system could have produced a smoother ceremony. It could have assembled recordings, photographs, port history, family messages, and Andre's favorite music. The family uses it to restore one damaged audio file and nothing else. Human choice survives partly through deciding when efficiency is unwanted. After the memorial, Iris and Mara walk beside the river. You were right, Iris says. About what? Care is not necessarily a job. Mara does not accept the victory. I wish I had been wrong. I do not. Iris explains presence. Without staffing targets, billing codes, and hospital schedules, she spends more meaningful time with people. She also struggles with isolation, motivation, and the lack of a clear professional identity. Both can be true. I kept thinking the machine had taken nursing away, she says. But nursing was already too many things. Skill, salary, authority, service, belonging. The machine took some. Policy took some. I gave some up. What remains? When somebody wants me there, I go. Mara looks across the water. That sounds like work. It is. Do you want it called a job? Iris thinks. No. I want it protected from becoming something only rich people can request. The conversation repairs part of what broke between them. It also gives Mara the next policy she will spend years trying to build. The human presence guarantee begins in 3 cities. Every person has the right to request in-person human accompaniment during major medical decisions, legal proceedings, end-of-life care, bereavement, displacement, or crisis. The people providing it are trained and accountable. They are not required to depend on the role for survival. Their income comes from the universal social floor. Critics say the guarantee proves humans are still employed. Mara disagrees. A right to another person's presence cannot be a right to command a particular person. The system relies on voluntary rotations, community responsibility, and enough social security that people can say yes without being economically forced. Participation rates are high, not universal. Some regions struggle to find volunteers. Some people exploit the service. Some companions behave poorly. Human presence does not become automatically wise because it is human. The guarantee remains valuable precisely because machines cannot solve the question it raises. Not whether a robot can sit beside a dying person, whether another human being will choose to. 20 years after the storm at the port, the Human Transition Office removes the final green category from its wall. No occupation remains stable because of tasks machines cannot perform. Some remain stable because societies choose human participation. Musicians play live. Judges sit in court. Parents teach children. Craftspeople make objects. Religious leaders guide communities. Athletes compete. Researchers pursue questions. Elected representatives debate. People cook in restaurants where the presence of a chef is part of the experience. But none of these activities still depends on human labor for its basic function. Automated systems can generate music, assess evidence, personalize education, make physical objects, provide spiritual texts, simulate competition, conduct research, model policy, and prepare food. They may not replace what people value about a particular person. They can replace the practical necessity of hiring someone. The difference becomes the center of Mara's work. An occupation can survive culturally after it disappears economically. Horses still run after engines replace them in transport. People still weave after machines make cloth. They still sail, garden, bake, calculate, memorize, repair, and write by hand. Activities once required for survival become sport, art, identity, discipline, or pleasure. Work does not vanish from human behavior. Jobs vanish from distribution. The International Work and Provision Commission changes its name again. It becomes the Civic Abundance Council, a phrase Mara finds embarrassingly optimistic. Abundance is never complete. Land remains finite. Ecosystems have limits. Human attention cannot be manufactured without end. Some medicines require rare materials. Energy infrastructure occupies space. People prefer certain climates, neighborhoods, views, and experiences. Scarcity changes shape. Basic goods become easier to guarantee. Relative status does not. A person may receive excellent housing and still want the house beside the sea. Everyone can access music, but not everyone can have a particular human musician at dinner. Automated transport is abundant, but a journey into a protected ecosystem may remain restricted. Digital experiences are infinite. A quiet beach is not. Money survives because comparison and exchange survive. It matters less for food, healthcare, education, energy, communication, and ordinary shelter in societies with strong universal systems. It matters greatly for scarce choices. Some countries retain traditional currency. Others use resource credits, ecological budgets, auctions, waiting lists, lotteries, or combinations. People continue finding ways to accumulate advantage. Families with desirable land gain status. Influential networks secure early access. Human-made objects become luxury goods. Celebrity intensifies because authentic human attention is scarce. A famous person can earn more from one evening than most people spend in a year, even though nobody needs the income to survive. Inequality does not disappear when jobs do. Its most brutal form can be reduced if basic access is guaranteed. Its social form adapts. Mara visits cities where the transition has gone well. Former office towers contain apartments, schools, studios, gardens, clinics, workshops, laboratories, and shared kitchens. Streets once designed around commuting become parks and local markets. Rush hour disappears. Energy demand spreads more evenly across the day. Parents spend more time with children. Older people remain integrated into neighborhoods. Volunteer emergency networks train regularly even though machines handle most incidents. She visits cities where the transition has gone badly. Automated production is protected behind private security. Residents receive minimal credits tied to strict behavioral conditions. Public spaces decay because no institution feels responsible for them and no one is paid to repair them, even though machines could. People spend their days in personalized entertainment while political power narrows. Loneliness rises. Conspiracy movements promise to restore a world of necessary labor that never existed as safely or fairly as memory claims. Abundance can remove compulsion without creating direction. A life no longer organized around employment may become spacious or empty. Most people experience both. The first generation born after universal provision does not understand why older adults ask what they plan to be. Children answer with interests rather than occupations. I study rivers. I make stories. I take care of dogs. I am learning orbital mechanics. I help at the West Garden. Adults continue asking, but what will you do? The children have already answered. Education changes more deeply than Leon expected. There is no labor market demanding standardized credentials. Learning centers organize around foundational knowledge, citizenship, physical skill, collaboration, craft, science, care, and self-direction. Automated tutors make expertise accessible. Human groups provide friction, friendship, disagreement, and accountability. Some students flourish. Others struggle without external necessity. A system can personalize a lesson but cannot force a person to care. It can design motivation, track attention, connect material to interests, and create consequences. The closer it comes to controlling desire, the more society must limit it. People discover that freedom includes the freedom to waste time. This produces moral panic in every generation. Older commentators describe young adults as passive because they spend months in simulated worlds. Young adults point out that earlier generations spent decades in jobs they disliked and called the result discipline. Some people move between intense projects and long rest. Some care for families. Some dedicate lives to mathematics, dance, restoring wetlands, competitive games, historical reenactment, meditation, or exploration. Some do very little. The social floor is tested not by the admirable person using freedom beautifully, but by the person whose choices others consider pointless. Mara supports unconditional access because every condition requires an authority to judge worth. She also understands why communities ask for contribution. Public systems must be governed. Shared places must reflect human preferences. Children and vulnerable adults need relationships, not only services. Democracies fail when nobody participates. The compromise in many regions is civic rotation. Adults are invited to spend limited periods on citizen assemblies, local councils, ethical reviews, cultural juries, environmental planning, and oversight of automated systems. Participation is encouraged through additional access to scarce experiences, not through threat of losing food or shelter. People can refuse for health, care, conscience, or simple unwillingness. The machines perform analysis. Citizens make decisions where values conflict. This is not because humans calculate better. It is because being governed includes the right to take part in choosing the rules. Mara serves on the first assembly for non-human land use. Automated planning systems have identified two options for expanding energy storage. One would disturb a wetland used by migratory birds. Another would require relocating 300 households from a desirable coastal district. The systems can quantify energy reliability, ecological impact, cost, migration patterns, compensation, and long-term risk. They cannot decide which loss a community should accept without using values supplied by someone. The assembly listens to residents, ecologists, engineers, historians, and advocates for future generations. Every argument has already been summarized by models. Hearing a summary is not the same as facing the person who will lose a home. The assembly chooses the more expensive third option: slower expansion, smaller facilities distributed across existing infrastructure, and reduced peak consumption during rare shortages. The automated system did not recommend it because the original objective prioritized reliability and cost. After the decision, it updates future proposals to include stronger weight for displacement and ecological fragmentation. Human judgment changes the model. Later models predict such preferences more accurately. Some critics ask why assemblies are still needed if systems can learn the values. Because values change. Because prediction is not consent. Because a society is not legitimate merely when a machine guesses what people would have chosen. The answer preserves civic participation. It does not preserve civic jobs. Professional politicians decline in number. Administrative systems draft budgets, check law, manage services, model consequences, and communicate with residents. Elected representatives become temporary stewards supported by citizen assemblies. Some societies keep full-time human leaders for tradition and accountability. Others use short terms and shared authority. Leadership remains an activity. Career politics becomes rare. Management follows. When organizations contain almost no employees, managers no longer coordinate human labor. Automated production systems schedule resources, negotiate supply, monitor quality, and adapt strategy. Human owners can set goals, but many productive networks are publicly or cooperatively governed. Leadership shifts toward choosing purposes rather than directing people. The remaining paid executives occupy organizations preserving private scarcity, luxury experiences, land, celebrity, personal human service, exclusive communities, and cultural brands. Those jobs survive because inequality survives. As universal systems expand and inheritance rules change, even that sector contracts. Mara's office keeps searching for a profession protected by human preference strongly enough to remain a large labor market. Therapy seems promising. Many people want a conscious person who can understand suffering from inside a human life. Automated therapists are transparent about not possessing personal experience. They provide evidence-based support, remember every conversation, recognize risk, and remain available without judgment. Some clients prefer humans. Human therapists continue practicing through associations and community networks. Because basic income is guaranteed, they can see fewer people and charge little or nothing. The activity thrives. The job shrinks. Religion follows the same pattern. Communities do not accept machines as priests, imams, rabbis, monks, or spiritual elders simply because systems can discuss theology. Human leaders remain important, but they serve communities without depending on salaries in the old sense, supported through shared provision like everyone else. Sports remain entirely human because the point is not efficiency. Robots can run faster, strike harder, calculate better, and perform movements impossible for bodies. Human competition matters because bodies have limits. Professional sport continues through attention, not necessity. A small number of athletes receive enormous rewards. Millions participate without employment. Science appears to resist longest. Automated systems generate hypotheses, design experiments, operate laboratories, analyze results, challenge assumptions, and coordinate knowledge across fields. They outperform individuals in breadth and speed. Human researchers still choose questions based on curiosity, beauty, fear, and moral concern. Then research networks model those priorities from public deliberation, unmet need, and scientific opportunity. Discovery accelerates. Human scientists do not disappear. They become explorers of knowledge who no longer need grants or positions to access tools. A teenager can ask a serious question and receive assistance once available only to institutions. Communities direct research toward local problems. People pursue difficult mathematics because they want to know. The profession of scientist dissolves into a civilization capable of science. Mara watches Leon adapt to that world more easily than she does. He is 70 when he begins studying marine ecology. Automated courses led him from basic biology to original field questions. He joins a group restoring eelgrass beds near the coast. Drones map the water. Robotic vessels plant and monitor. Leon and other volunteers choose sites, debate goals, speak with fishing communities, and spend time in boats because they enjoy the place. You retired into a career you never had, Mara tells him. I retired out of needing permission. Do the robots need you? No, does the project? Leon watches sunlight move across the water. The project exists because we care whether the grass returns. The machines can measure care. They cannot supply ours unless we supply it first. Mara thinks of objectives, assemblies, and systems learning human values. That line may not hold forever. It only has to hold today. Iris becomes one of the coordinators of presence, although coordinator no longer means manager. Systems handle schedules, training records, safety checks, matching, translation, transport, and follow-up. Iris helps resolve disputes about what the cooperative should become. Some members want human presence recognized as an essential public service. Others fear institutionalizing it will turn voluntary care back into monitored labor. A third group argues that advanced synthetic companions now provide better support for many people and should not be treated as inferior simply to protect human pride. Iris agrees with parts of all three. The cooperative changes its name to the door. Its purpose is written in one sentence. When a person asks for another person, someone may answer. Not must. May. The word protects both sides. Mara asks whether that is enough for a civilization. Iris says no civilization has ever guaranteed that loneliness would be answered. This one can at least make an answer more possible. By then, Mara is 64. The occupation wall in her office has been removed. In its place stands a map of human activities: care, study, making, exploration, play, governance, ritual, repair, performance, friendship, parenting, competition, reflection, service. None is colored by automation risk. Machines are involved in all of them. Humans continue all of them. The categories were never enemies. The final stage begins with a warning from the sun. Observatories detect an eruption on the solar surface large enough to send charged particles toward Earth. The event is not unprecedented. Grids, satellites, aircraft, communication systems, and navigation networks have been hardened over decades. Automated infrastructure prepares before most people hear the news. Satellites reorient. Vulnerable equipment shuts down. Power networks divide into protected islands. Energy storage fills. Hospitals check local reserves. Transport systems reduce speed and increase separation. Water facilities move to autonomous local control. Data centers create physical copies of critical instructions. The forecast is uncertain. The strongest part of the storm may miss Earth. It does not. Auroras appear far south. For several minutes, the night sky above Europe carries green and red light bright enough to cast shadows. People leave their homes to watch. Then communication begins failing. The damage is not global collapse. It is irregular, which makes coordination difficult. Some satellites survive. Others enter safe mode. Long electrical lines experience induced currents. Several regional transformers disconnect in time. Two do not. Network clocks disagree. Navigation becomes unreliable. Cloud services remain available in one region and vanish in another. Autonomous systems respond as designed. Most essential services continue. In the low coastal district where Mara and Leon live, a local power network isolates successfully. Water flows. Buildings maintain safe temperature. Food stores have several weeks of supply. Delivery robots stop because the positioning service cannot verify location. Public transport enters stations and waits. Nothing is immediately dangerous. Then a drainage gate reports two incompatible positions. Heavy rain is moving in from the sea. The gate controls water entering a low neighborhood. One sensor says closed. Another says partly open. Inspection drones cannot connect to the regional map. A local maintenance robot reaches the structure but cannot verify whether moving the gate will damage a mechanical lock. The system requests an authorized human decision. There are no municipal gate operators. The job disappeared 9 years earlier. A remote engineering service exists, but the network connection is unstable. The local civic channel sends an alert asking for residents with relevant experience. Leon reads it aloud. Mara is already standing. Tomas joins through a low bandwidth audio link from Valencia. He worked on older power systems, not drainage gates, but he understands mechanical interlocks. A retired water engineer named Aisha Rahman lives 4 streets away. She has not practiced professionally in 15 years. 2 teenagers from a local maintenance club know how to operate the portable inspection tools. A fishing cooperative provides a boat. Nobody is assigned. They come because the water is rising. The maintenance robot meets them at the gate. It projects diagrams onto the concrete wall. Aisha recognizes that the physical mechanism was installed before the current digital standard. The lock can report a false closed state if debris prevents the final movement. The robot can enter the water safely. It cannot decide to force the gate without authorization because doing so may destroy the actuator and leave the structure open. Mara holds the civic authorization key. She received it through assembly service, not employment. Aisha asks the robot to inspect the lower hinge. It finds a branch lodged beneath the gate. Removing it may free the structure. Water pressure is increasing. The robot estimates a 7% chance that the branch is supporting a damaged section. If removed, the gate could drop abruptly. What would an operator have done? One teenager asks. Aisha looks at the water. An operator would have argued with another operator. They inspect old records stored locally. Tomas notices a maintenance note about a manual brace installed after a similar event. The map does not show it. The robot searches and finds the brace behind a panel. For 40 minutes, machines provide strength, sensing, light, calculations, and access underwater. Humans combine memory, local authority, risk tolerance, and the willingness to proceed without certainty. They secure the brace. The robot removes the branch. The gate closes. The neighborhood does not flood. By morning, communication begins returning. An engineering system reviews the event. It identifies missing infrastructure data, redesigns the inspection procedure, and recommends an automatic brace sensor. Similar gates across the country are checked. The next solar storm will require fewer people. Local news calls Mara and Aisha heroes. Both reject the word. Were humans essential? A reporter asks. During that hour, yes, Mara says. Does that mean full automation failed? No. The automated systems kept almost everything running. One old gate reached a situation outside verified authority. Then jobs like gate operator should return. Aisha answers. You would hire thousands of people to wait decades for one branch. The reporter has no reply. Aisha continues. Keep knowledge. Keep access. Keep communities practiced. Do not confuse resilience with payroll. The sentence replaces one of Mara's older lines in policy reports. The solar storm becomes known as the luminous night. Its main lesson is not that humans must reclaim every control. It is that systems should remain understandable enough for people to intervene and societies should preserve capabilities even when markets no longer pay for them. Human skill becomes a commons. Communities maintain libraries of physical practice. People learn first aid, repair, food growing, navigation, conflict mediation, childcare, emergency shelter, and local ecology. Not everyone learns everything. The goal is not to prepare citizens to replace the entire automated world by hand. That would be impossible. The goal is to prevent capability from becoming ownership's private secret. Automation once concentrated expertise inside companies. Post-work societies distribute enough knowledge that people can question, redirect, and temporarily support the systems surrounding them. Tomas's traditional workshops receive new attention. He adds modern infrastructure modules beside obsolete wiring. Students learn why systems work, not because they expect careers, but because dependency without understanding feels dangerous. Iris trains presence volunteers in basic medical judgment. Automated diagnosis remains available, but people learn how to recognize when sensors are absent, wrong, or unwanted. Leon's Learning Center creates a course called Things Worth Knowing even when machines know them better. It becomes unexpectedly popular. Children calculate without calculators, navigate without positioning, cook without automated kitchens, repair fabric, identify plants, read long texts, remember songs, and practice listening without summaries. None of these skills is treated as morally superior to technology. They are ways of remaining a participant in the material world. Mara begins to understand that the end of jobs does not end specialization. Some people still know far more about gates, hearts, history, music, or stars than others. They may devote decades to mastery. Communities recognize them. Institutions certify competence where mistakes could cause harm. What disappears is the threat beneath specialization. Learn this or starve. Perform this or lose shelter. Remain useful to an owner or become disposable. Without that threat, some people pursue mastery more deeply. Others leave difficult studies sooner. Society gains freedom and loses a familiar engine of pressure. Automated systems fill the practical gaps. Human excellence becomes less predictable. The final paid occupations decline in places where universal provision is strongest. Human luxury service continues. Some wealthy people employ chefs, assistants, tutors, gardeners, performers, and companions because exclusive human attention signals status. Critics call this a museum of inequality. Workers can refuse without losing basic security. Many do. Some accept because they enjoy the role or value additional wealth. Employment becomes a contract between people with more equal ability to walk away. That changes the tone, but does not remove hierarchy. In regions where the social floor is weak, jobs survive longer because people accept low wages. Human labor remains cheaper than advanced machines for cleaning, harvesting, caregiving, repair, and service. The last jobs on Earth do not disappear first in the richest societies and then neatly everywhere else. Automation reaches poorer regions through different paths: inexpensive multipurpose robots, public infrastructure, shared systems, imported services, and pressure from global markets. A street vendor may remain human long after international finance is automated. A farm worker may be displaced not by a robot on the same farm, but by food imported from an automated system elsewhere. A call center worker may lose employment to software used in another country. The global transition requires more than technology. It requires distribution across borders. If wealthy automated economies keep the gains, billions may face lost opportunities without receiving abundance. The crisis produces the Global Provision Compact. It is not one world government and does not equalize every nation. Participating regions contribute a small share of automated production, scientific tools, energy technology, and public digital infrastructure to a global floor. Food systems, essential medicine, education, communication, and automation designs become available under shared licenses. Developing regions gain productive capacity without surrendering all data and ownership to foreign firms. Negotiations last 11 years. Several powerful companies resist. Some governments refuse. Corruption diverts resources. Local industries fear dependence. Activists argue that charity is not the same as ownership. The compact improves because of those objections. Regional public funds receive equity in systems deployed locally. Communities control data. Essential designs can be audited and modified. Benefits cannot be withdrawn for political loyalty under the treaty, although enforcement remains imperfect. The global floor rises. Employment falls. For the first time, the number of people entering paid jobs each year becomes smaller than the number leaving education. This does not produce universal despair. Young people have grown up expecting a life organized differently. The emotional crisis belongs more strongly to the generation that prepared for careers. Mara's generation keeps asking whether people deserve income without work. Iris's generation asks who deserved the output when machines learned from centuries of human knowledge, public education, infrastructure, natural resources, and data produced by everyone. The youngest generation asks why the question took so long. A century of automation is compressed in public memory into a simple story. Machines became capable, work ended, abundance followed. Mara knows the story is false. Capability arrived unevenly. Work did not end at one moment. Abundance was built through conflict. People organized, voted, protested, negotiated, experimented, failed, and sometimes accepted unjust systems because they were afraid of losing what little remained. The robots did not distribute anything. Humans did. The machines took over tasks. Institutions decided whether that became liberation or abandonment. Mara is 71 when the Civic Abundance Council announces that its Employment Transition Division will close. The division has no remaining function. Fewer than 3% of adults worldwide receive their main income through wages, and most of those arrangements involve human preference, local delay, private scarcity, or political choice rather than technical necessity. No category of production requires paid human labor at global scale. The report does not say robots took every job. It says dependency on labor income has ended in a majority of participating societies and continues declining elsewhere. Headlines choose the simpler sentence. The end of work. Mara receives thousands of interview requests. She accepts one from a student historian who is 12 years old. The girl arrives with no camera crew. Recording devices are embedded in her notebook. She asks Mara what the last job was. There was no last job, Mara says. There must have been. Some person received a final wage for some task. Who? Nobody knows. Employment records use different definitions. Some people still call what they do jobs. Then how do historians mark the end? They choose a symbol. What symbol would you choose? Mara looks toward the empty wall where occupations once changed color. The day we stopped treating survival as a reward for being needed. The girl writes it down. Was that one day? No, that is inconvenient. History usually is. The student asks whether Mara is losing her job. Yes. How do you feel? Mara almost gives the polished answer. Proud. Grateful. Ready. Instead, she says, terrified. The girl looks surprised. Mara has spent decades telling societies that identity can survive employment. She has advised workers, testified before governments, designed social systems, and watched her own family build lives beyond jobs. Her calendar will become empty next month. Knowledge does not remove the experience. What will you do? The student asks. Mara laughs. The old question has returned for her at last. For the first 3 weeks after the office closes, Mara wakes before the alarm she no longer needs. She dresses, makes coffee, and opens a calendar containing no meetings. Messages wait from committees, universities, archives, and civic groups. She could fill every hour. The absence is not opportunity yet. It is silence where obligation used to be. Leon suggests the eelgrass project. Mara says she knows nothing about eelgrass. That is how learning starts. Iris invites her to accompany visits through the door. Mara says she is not trained. That is how training starts. Tomas asks her to help document obsolete infrastructure before the last physical records decay. Mara says an automated archive can do it more accurately. That is not why I asked. Everyone offers activity. Nobody can offer necessity. One morning, Mara walks to the old port. Visitors are allowed along an elevated path. The harbor has expanded seaward while using less land near the city. Cranes move containers between ships, rail, storage, and autonomous vessels. Maintenance machines travel inside the structures. The operations tower has become a museum. Mara enters the room where she waded through the storm nearly 3 decades earlier. The old consoles are dark. A reconstruction displays the night Berth 17 lost its mooring line. Visitors can watch Orpheus move the ship away from danger. Mara's name appears in a small panel. Senior Human Coordinator present. No intervention required. The wording once felt like erasure. Now it feels accurate. A museum guide recognizes her and asks whether she would speak with a school group. Mara agrees before anxiety can object. The children want to know whether people hated robots. Sometimes. Did the robots know? Not in the way you mean. Why did companies replace people? Because machines became cheaper or safer for particular tasks. Why did people let them? Sometimes they had no meaningful choice. Sometimes the change made life better. Often both were true. A boy asks whether she wishes the port still employed thousands. Mara looks through the glass at machines moving in rain. I wish the people who lost those jobs had been protected sooner. I do not wish them back beneath dangerous loads just so the port can say humans are working. The answer surprises her. After the group leaves, she remains in the tower. Nothing asks her to stay. Nothing asks her to leave. She begins visiting once a week. Not as an employee, not as a permanent guide. She tells students what the automated record cannot convey. She describes how the rooms sounded when people argued, why experienced workers distrusted certain winds, and what it felt like to wait for a radio call. A profession can disappear without the people inside it becoming foolish or unnecessary. The museum system could generate those details from archives. Mara's presence matters because she was there. When she is not there, the museum remains excellent. That balance becomes easier to accept. She also trains with the door. Her first request comes from a 30-year-old man named Pavel whose mother has chosen to end an aggressive treatment. The medical explanation is complete. Family mediation systems have helped them discuss the choice. Pavel asks for a person who is not part of the family and does not have to solve anything. Mara sits with him in a hospital garden. He speaks for an hour. She offers no insight worthy of a career. She does not compare his grief to Andre's. She does not turn experience into expertise. She remains. On the way home, the old sense of usefulness returns. It is quieter without payment. Mara begins spending one day each week at the Port Museum, one with the door, one studying coastal history, and several doing nothing planned. Some weeks, she resents the empty days. Some weeks she protects them. Leon's health declines gradually. His heart remains strong, but a neurological disease affects movement and speech. Automated systems help him walk, communicate, eat, and continue fieldwork through remote instruments. He chooses not to use a generated voice modeled on his younger speech. He prefers a plain synthetic voice that does not pretend time has reversed. Mara cares for him. Robots perform the lifting, washing, medication, and physical exercises. They allow Mara to be his wife instead of an exhausted full-time nurse. This is one of automation's gentlest victories. It does not remove care. It removes some of the labor that can bury care beneath fatigue. Leon continues visiting the eelgrass beds through a mobile platform. One afternoon, the system shows new growth across an area once barren. Do they need us? Mara asks, repeating their old conversation. Leon types slowly. His synthetic voice answers. The grass does not. Does the project? Less every year. Then why are we here? He looks toward the water. Because we are. It is not a policy answer. It is enough. Leon dies at home 6 years after Mara leaves the council. Iris and Tomas are present. Automated systems manage his final symptoms. A human companion from the door waits in another room in case the family wants someone who is not grieving. They do not call her. The right to human presence includes the right to be alone. Afterward, Mara returns to the coast. The restoration project has expanded. Machines continue monitoring and planting. Volunteers continue meeting, arguing, learning, and taking boats onto the water. Leon's name is not placed on the project as an owner or founder. It appears in a list of participants beside hundreds of others. Mara likes that. The world outside her family continues adjusting to life without jobs. Daily rhythms diversify. There is no universal weekend because there is no universal work week. Communities create shared quiet days, so public life still has pauses. Festivals become more important. Learning, care, performance, sport, ritual, and public deliberation provide collective time. Some people join long projects with schedules as demanding as old careers. Others prefer short commitments. Some move frequently between places and interests. Some form households organized around children, elders, art, research, or land restoration. Arguments about fairness continue. Should a person who contributes more receive greater access to scarce goods? Does rewarding contribution rebuild coercive labor? How should inheritance work when ownership can reproduce enormous privilege without anyone working? Can automated systems hold property? Should ecological limits override personal choice? Who represents future people? Do synthetic minds, if any ever become conscious, deserve rights and freedom from work themselves? The end of human jobs does not end politics. It creates new political questions. One question becomes especially difficult. If machines perform all necessary production, who sets their goals? The simple answer is humans. Humanity is not one person with one preference. Goals conflict. More housing may require land. More energy may alter ecosystems. Faster medicine may involve risk. Personalized systems can increase comfort while narrowing shared experience. Safety can become surveillance. Efficiency can erase redundancy. Automated systems can expose trade-offs. They cannot make disagreement disappear without making someone powerless. Healthy societies build layers of control. Personal systems obey individuals within law. Local systems answer to communities. Essential networks operate transparently under public charters. Independent models audit one another. Citizen assemblies review goals. Courts protect rights. Emergency stops exist physically and institutionally. No single company or government controls every productive system. Unhealthy societies do the opposite. The difference is not robot intelligence. It is human power. This remains the central risk in the imagined future. A machine does not need hatred to participate in oppression. It only needs to efficiently apply an unjust rule. An automated welfare system can deny support at scale. A surveillance network can predict dissent. A private owner can control access to necessities without hiring a single guard. An authoritarian state can make obedience the price of abundance. Full automation can liberate people from employers and make them completely dependent on system owners. That is why the transition's hardest achievement is not a dexterous robot, a brilliant model, or a self-maintaining factory. It is shared claim over the abundance those systems create. The world never solves this perfectly. Some regions remain unequal. Some governments fail. Some people migrate towards systems offering greater freedom. International pressure, public technical infrastructure, and the Global Provision Compact prevent the worst outcomes from becoming universal. The future is better than catastrophe and less perfect than a promise. That imperfect balance becomes the standard Mara carries into the final decade of the transition. During the decade after Mara leaves the council, the remaining wage contracts fade for different reasons. Human luxury service becomes voluntary patronage or cooperative exchange once nobody needs an employer for basic security. Regions that automated later joined the global provision systems. A few people continue calling long commitments jobs, but the term no longer describes a market purchasing labor. No reliable record identifies the last paid worker. One contract expires in a remote research station. Another becomes a civic rotation. A family business stops issuing wages because every member already receives an equal share of automated output. Somewhere, a final employer transfers a final payment for a task a machine could have completed. Nobody realizes it is the last. By then, robots and software have quietly taken over every economically necessary job on Earth. Human beings continue the activities they value, but no essential system depends on hiring them. At 82, Mara is invited to speak at the closure of the last employment office in Rotterdam. The building once processed unemployment claims. Later, it helped people retrain. Then it distributed transition payments. Finally, it became a center for civic participation and access to automated production tools. The office is not closing because nobody needs help. Its functions have moved into universal services that do not require people to prove they are unemployed. A small ceremony is held outside. Iris stands beside Mara. Tomas attends through a mobile platform. Students from the Port Museum sit on the steps. A few former workers carry old union banners. One reads, 8 hours for work, 8 hours for rest, 8 hours for what we will. The slogan came from a labor movement that fought for the 8-hour day centuries earlier. Now the first part has nearly disappeared. The other 16 hours have expanded into a lifetime. Mara is asked to say something. She looks at the building, the banners, and the people who still use words like worker even when no employer exists. Robots did not take work away from humanity, she says. They took away the economy's need to purchase most human effort. Those are not the same thing. She speaks about the port and Samira at the bank. She remembers Leon's students, Tomas's repairs, Iris beside Elise, the teacher at the collapsed school, Aisha at the drainage gate, and Andre asking whether cranes still moved. People continued doing difficult things. We continued caring, making, learning, deciding, repairing, competing, grieving, and helping. What changed was the threat beneath those acts. We no longer had to prove that a market needed us before we were allowed to live. She does not claim everyone found purpose. She does not claim automation made people kind. She does not claim abundance erased loneliness, hierarchy, or conflict. The machines answered one question, she says. How much production requires human labor? The answer became almost none. They did not answer what a human life is for. That question was never a job description. The ceremony ends, and the employment office closes. The next morning, the city is unchanged. Food arrives. Water moves. Clinics operate. Schools open, although nobody is preparing children for a labor market. The port unloads ships. Construction systems repair buildings. Energy networks balance supply. Research laboratories continue experiments. Farms harvest. Courts process routine matters. Citizen panels meet where values are contested. No one clocks in because civilization would stop without them. Millions still follow schedules. Promises create schedules. Children create schedules. Crops, bodies, tides, rehearsals, games, study, and other people create schedules. Freedom does not mean living without time. It means more of the time belongs to reasons a person can recognize as their own. By then, Mara no longer needs to summarize the transition as a numbered argument. Her life has already carried its answer. The takeover began with tasks disappearing inside ordinary jobs. Software absorbed scheduling, drafting, analysis, diagnosis, design, and coordination. Physical machines entered factories, ports, farms, hospitals, roads, and homes more slowly. Then those environments were rebuilt around them. Each unusual human success became a procedure, a piece of training data, or a reason to redesign the next machine. New professions appeared throughout the transition. People trained systems, repaired robots, audited decisions, managed exceptions, wrote rules, and helped displaced workers. For years, the amount of employment sometimes grew. But this imagined future continued beyond every temporary refuge. Machines learned to maintain machines. Automated research improved automated production. No new economically necessary occupation remained permanently protected. That technical achievement never decided whether the result would be liberation or abandonment. Ownership did, where a small group controlled food, energy, housing, medicine, and automated infrastructure. People could lose employers and become more dependent than before. Where productive systems were publicly, cooperatively, or broadly owned, the same machines could support universal security. Robots performed the tasks. Human institutions decided who received the result. The end of jobs also failed to manufacture purpose. Some people welcomed open time. Others missed schedules, colleagues, recognition, and the knowledge that someone expected them to arrive. Communities had to build new places for learning, care, ritual, competition, service, friendship, and difficult shared projects. None guaranteed meaning. Employment had never guaranteed it either. People remained participants in government for another reason. A system could calculate consequences, expose trade-offs, and predict preferences. It could not turn prediction into consent. Decisions about land, privacy, risk, dignity, and future generations still belonged to those who would live under them. Participation survived without becoming a career. Even complete automation did not require conscious machines. A care system could help without feeling concern, just as a calculator could replace manual arithmetic without understanding numbers as a person did. If synthetic systems ever became conscious, a new moral question would begin. A civilization that had released humans from compulsory labor could not honestly create another conscious class required to work without choice. The quieter conclusion was enough. Robots could take over every economically necessary task, while human activity continued. People would still raise children, comfort friends, practice medicine, write stories, restore machines for pleasure, study stars, argue about law, grow food, perform music, compete, teach, pray, explore, and sit beside the dying. The acts would remain because they mattered to the people doing them, not because a missing wage would remove the floor beneath their lives. Some days would feel liberated. Some would feel empty. Most would contain the familiar mixture of effort, boredom, affection, conflict, curiosity, and rest. Mara sees that ordinary future on her final evening in Rotterdam. She and Iris sit near the river while autonomous vessels move toward the sea. The port cranes are visible in the distance. Lights mark the machines, although nobody needs to see them from a control tower. The city is quieter than it was when Mara first worked nights. There is no rush hour traffic. Buildings use less energy. The old employment office has already been converted into a public workshop. A group of young people is repairing a wooden boat by hand on the riverbank. Robotic tools could finish the work faster. The group has chosen not to use them for the hull. They use automated measurement to check safety and hand tools for everything else. One person makes a mistake. The others laugh. The mistake is corrected. Is that work? Iris asks. Mara knows she is teasing. Yes. A job? No, useful. The boat will float. And if it did not, they would still have learned something. They watch until the group covers the unfinished hull. Iris has gray hair now. She still answers requests through the door. She sometimes goes months without taking one. Then she spends a week beside a family, a frightened child, or someone grieving. No system tracks whether she has contributed enough. Mara still visits the Port Museum. Students no longer treat her as a former worker from a recent transition. To them, wage employment belongs to history in the same way factory child labor, hereditary occupations, and six-day industrial weeks belong to history for Mara. They are curious that adults once feared having nothing to do. They are also curious that survival depended on being hired. Mara explains both as honestly as she can. Night deepens over the river. Across the world, machines continue working. They inspect bridges, harvest food, balance energy, clean water, recycle materials, deliver medicine, answer questions, conduct experiments, repair themselves, and stop when rules require human review. Many systems operate with no visible motion. Decisions pass through networks. Valves open. Batteries charge. Crops receive water. A damaged rail is replaced before morning. The world does not feel occupied by robots. It feels maintained. That quietness was present from the beginning. The machines never marched into offices and ordered people out. A bank hired fewer staff. A port removed a night shift. A school increased the number of students one teacher could support. A hospital assigned robots more care tasks. A building was redesigned for machine repair. An automated laboratory improved another machine. Each decision was local. Together, they ended the labor market. Mara remembers waiting to be necessary during the storm at the port. For years, she believed the opposite of necessity must be uselessness. The post-work world taught her another possibility. A person can be unnecessary to production and still irreplaceable within a relationship. Iris was not the only possible person who could sit with Elise. That did not make her presence meaningless. Leon was not required to restore eelgrass. The grass still carried his care. Aisha was not employed to close the drainage gate. Her knowledge still protected a neighborhood. Andre was not valuable because cranes once depended on his hands. His work had carried meaning because he carried it, and his life carried meaning after the cranes moved without him. Human worth was never created by scarcity of labor. The economy merely used scarcity as a way to distribute income. When scarcity ended, worth remained. Mara and Iris rise from the bench. An autonomous ferry is waiting. It has already adjusted the boarding surface to Mara's slower step. She places one hand on the rail. No crew member welcomes them. A recorded personality is available, but the ferry is quiet because Mara prefers it that way. They cross the river. Behind them, the boat builders are going home. Tomorrow they may return. Nothing compels them. The unfinished hull will wait. The machines will not finish it unless asked. That boundary matters. Automation has taken over necessity, not permission to shape every human choice. As the ferry reaches the opposite bank, Mara looks once more toward the port. She cannot identify the berth where her old career ended. The harbor has been rebuilt too many times. The exact location is gone. The memory remains simple. Rain on glass. A red warning around his ship. A system acting before she could. The beginning did not feel like the end of work. It felt like a quiet night in which nothing went wrong. Now let that future city begin to move farther away. The cranes continue behind the dark river. Their lights become smaller. The ferry reaches its landing. Mara and Iris disappear into streets where nobody is hurrying toward a shift. The public workshop closes. The unfinished boat rests beneath its cover. Water touches the supports with a repeating sound. The machines keep working because they do not need sleep. Human beings do. That difference no longer places one above the other. It simply gives the night back to the body. You do not need to solve the future of employment before resting. No decision about automation depends on one thought held awake tonight. The real world has not reached Mara's harbor. In 2026, most occupations remain collections of tasks shared in changing ways between people and technology. Large-scale displacement is still limited, and the eventual effects will depend on capabilities, costs, institutions, ownership, law, and choices not yet made. The imagined future was a long extension of one possibility. It can release its hold now. The operations tower grows dark. The occupation wall disappears. The hearings, factories, hospitals, workshops, assemblies, and storms settle into distance. The question of who owns the machines can remain with daylight, where political questions belong. For now, notice the smaller forms of work the body continues without instruction. Breathing, maintaining warmth, adjusting against the surface beneath you, the heart moving blood, the brain sorting signals from the day. None of this appears on a payroll. None requires proof of productivity. The body has always contained activity that matters without becoming employment. Thoughts may still arrive like messages from an old office. Something unfinished. Something that should be planned. Something that might happen years from now. They do not need answers before morning. Imagine the port once more, not during the storm, but after it. Rain has passed. Water lies dark between the ships. Cranes move at a distance. Containers settle into ordered rows. No alarm is sounding. The system is awake, and the city is safe enough to sleep. There is no need to wait for a request for human intervention. There is no need to prove usefulness to the night. A future without jobs would not remove every obligation, but this moment can be free of them. It does not require a title, a schedule, an evaluation, or a reason beyond rest itself. The unfinished boat can remain unfinished. The gate is closed. The hospital room is quiet. The eelgrass moves beneath the water without an audience. The old port worker has gone home. The teacher has finished speaking. The companion has left the door open without demanding that anyone enter. Across the imagined Earth, robots continue the patient maintenance of material life. Food moves. Water flows. Energy balances. Structures are watched. Roads repair in darkness. The labor once required from millions of tired bodies continues elsewhere, without asking those bodies to remain awake. Human activity has not ended. It has simply stopped being the price of permission to exist. Let that idea become lighter now. The future can be imperfect and still distant. The machines can remain tools, systems, risks, and possibilities beyond the room. The people in the story can continue building lives from care, curiosity, choice, and time. Mara can leave the operations tower at last. The room around you does not need to be automated or futuristic. It only needs to hold the present moment. Air enters and leaves. Sounds remain near or far. A surface carries weight. Darkness asks for nothing. The question has traveled from one vanished night shift to the disappearance of every job on Earth. Its answer is quieter than an uprising. Robots could take over every economically necessary task. They could not take over the fact that human lives are lived from the inside. They could not make friendship automatic to the people experiencing it, even if they helped create connection. They could not turn another person's freely chosen presence into a manufactured entitlement. They could not decide what abundance was for unless human beings surrendered that decision. And they could not make rest something that had to be earned. Let the harbor lights fade. Let the machines continue without supervision. Let tomorrow's work, whatever form it takes, remain outside this night. Nothing needs to be completed now. Sleep well.